for being here. My name is Drew. I'm talking to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm a native of Minnesota. Despite being a native of Minnesota, from about age 10, I bounced around the country quite a bit, wound up landing in Kansas and Missouri. So wound up studying psychology and theology while I was living in Kansas, moved to Kansas City. And after spending really about a decade working in nonprofit, both religious and secular, I decided that, gosh, wouldn't it be nice to actually make some money for all the good that I think I'm doing? So I got into the for-profit world of finance and sales and did a little bit of work in project management for a Fortune 500 company and a Fortune 100 company. I got burnt out, thoroughly burnt out, and wound up spending about a year in an ashram and was certified and trained in yoga and meditation. From there, I opened up my own brick and mortar yoga studio in Kansas City. And with whatever success I had in Kansas City, I knew I could amplify that coming back home to Minnesota. I arrived in Minnesota, and yoga and mindfulness and meditation quickly allowed for me to pivot into consulting work, primarily working in education spaces, but a little bit in healthcare and with small business owners as well. And wouldn't you know it, as of last year, I got elected to be the chair of what was then the National Kids Yoga Conference. And Tracy, as you mentioned, we recently rebranded the International Kids Yoga Association. So all that, I'm just happy to be here.
Yes, we are too. And I know I see in the chat that Sarah is rocking her child to sleep. So hopefully your voice will help lull her child to sleep, and then maybe she can join in a little bit. But as we're practicing, feel free to turn your camera off if that feels better. Drew, you're going to lead us in 30 to 40 minutes of practice here, and then we can connect afterwards if people are able to. And we'll record it and put it in our newsletter for more people to watch as well, to learn about your upcoming conference. Yeah, all right, here we go. I'm ready.
All right, well, here we go. My intention, Tracy said, come as you are. And so my intention is to really honor where everybody is right now. So even if you're seated, this is still for you, right? My intention, real quick, is we're going to go through about 3 specific movement-based techniques or exercises. And from there, we're just going to pivot into some deeper reflective practices. And that should take us through our time. And so my intention is, and you might be familiar with it, you might not, either way, it's okay. We're going to go through an active body scan. We're going to go through perhaps a few rounds of a lion's breath, as well as a heart center stretch. And from there, we'll pivot into a deeper reflective practice. All right. So in my body, I'm just seated. My feet are flat on the floor. My back and neck are relatively straight. I'm not doing anything fancy with my hands or my arms right now. And even so, I'm going to invite you, as best your body allows, to come into a similar posture. So as best your body allows, you're welcome to have your feet flat on the floor. Certainly you can do what we're about to do standing, but if you feel more comfortable being seated, this is for you. All right. So as best the body allows, I'm going to invite us now to simply begin to raise up the left hand. And slowly, as the body allows, just begin to curl the fingers of the left hand now. We're just going to make it into a tight fist, curling the fingers of the left hand. Now, we're not trying to hurt ourselves, but just allow yourself to notice the tension that's just happening right now, a little bit more in that left hand and the left fingers. And then just relax and release the left hand, relax and release the left arm. And as you're allowing more relaxation to come into that left hand and the left arm, just begin to notice now how that left hand and left arm feels being just a little bit more relaxed now versus when it was tense and active. Now, you don't have to worry about giving it a name or a label or a value judgment, but just notice the feelings and the sensations. So let's begin to move the awareness now. We're going to begin to move the awareness to the right leg and the right foot. And so as best the body allows, the invitation right now is just going to begin to tap that right foot against the floor, or if you're by a chair or a desk leg, as the body allows, you can gently tap the foot against that chair or that desk leg, or perhaps you're just allowing that right leg to bounce or move just a little bit more now. Again, we're not trying to cause any discomfort in the body, but we're just allowing for a little bit more movement right now with that right foot and that right leg, either bouncing the right leg as the body allows, or just tapping that right foot. And allow yourself now to begin to still and settle the right leg and the right foot. Begin to still and settle that right leg and that right foot now. And as you're stilling that right leg and that right foot now, just allow more of your awareness to notice how that right foot and that right leg feels as it's more settled and as it's still versus when it was moving and active. Just notice all of the feelings and all of the sensations there. And again, we're not worrying about giving it any kind of a label. We're not worrying about giving it any kind of a value judgment. It's not good, it's not bad. We're just noticing the feelings and the sensations. Right now, the invitation is this: allow yourself to remember or picture just one thing that you did earlier today. Now, I don't need to know what it is. Nobody's going to ask you about it. This is just for you. Allow yourself now in your memory, in your mind, to just remember or to bring up or observe one thing that you did earlier today. Now, sometimes our brain can seem really active and really busy. That's okay. If your brain seems really active or really busy right now, perhaps you're thinking of a lot of things that happened earlier today. And that's okay. As best you can, just stay with one thing. As best you can right now, just stay with one thing. And allow yourself to observe that one thing that you did earlier today. Now begin to bring the awareness back into present time. Bring the awareness back into present time, here and now. And now begin to allow yourself to think about or imagine or just remember one thing that you're scheduled to do later on this evening. Again, I don't need to know about it. Nobody's going to ask you what it is. This is just for you. So allow yourself now to picture or think about one thing that you're scheduled to do later on tonight. Imagine how it might look or sound. or feel. And bring the awareness back into present time. Bring the awareness now back into present time, here and now. And finally, let's just begin to bring a little bit more tension into the entirety of the body as best the body allows. And so in my body right now, I'm curling my toes, making a little fist with the feet, engaging the calves and the thighs, even the glutes, bringing more tension into the lower body. It might feel like you're slightly floating off your chair or your seat cushion. That's okay. You can also continue to curl the fingers, balling them up into tight fists, flexing the biceps, bring tension to the core and the entire upper body. You might even furrow the brow or frown the face up, and then just relax. Relaxing the feet, relaxing the calves and the thighs. You can even allow the belly to go loose. Relaxing fingers and hands. Shoulders relax, and the shoulder blades even spiral back and down a little bit more. You can create some space between the teeth as you allow the jaw to relax. And even allow the forehead to relax. And so let's come all the way back into present time now. Blink, stretch, look around, fully alert, fully awake, fully refreshed, fully present here and now, here and now. And so as you continue to settle in now, if you feel the need as your body allows to roll out the shoulders or flick out the wrist or even roll the neck gently, you're certainly welcome to do that. We're just allowing ourselves to come all the way back into present time. We might still be off somewhere in a past, or we might still be wandering somewhere off in a imagined future. We can come on back now. You know, one other way that I'll occasionally invite or encourage folks to just continue to release any pent up stress, tension, pressure they might be holding on to in their physical body. I was first taught this technique as the heart center stretch. I shared it out with a couple different folks that worked in some public school settings. I circled back, I asked them, I said, well, how did it go when you shared it with some of your students? I think pretty good. I said, are they doing it? They said, yeah, but they gave it a different name. I said, really? Yeah. You know, one classroom educator, I said, well, what are they calling it? They called it boom. I said, oh, okay. All right, but they're doing it. Yeah. Okay. You know, a social worker I dealt with one year, they said, they renamed it. I said, okay, what do they call it? Bursting heart. It's like, oh, it's kind of graphic. I said, but they're doing it? Yeah. Okay. So as best the body allows, here's what we're doing. The arms are coming out in front of the body as best the body allows. You're almost making a bit of a V shape as the arms come out in front. And as you begin to allow yourself to inhale in through the nose, you're slowly curling the fingers and bringing more pressure and tension into the hands. You're still inhaling, and we begin to hinge at the elbows, bringing the elbows in towards the sternum, still inhaling. And as the fists come to the elbow or to the sternum, we blow it all out. So we're making a little bit of noise, and that's fine. So let's just continue at your own pace. Giving yourself a long inhale, slowly curling those fists in, noticing more tension in the biceps, fists come to the sternum. And again, you're going at your own pace. Don't worry about keeping up with me or anybody else, not even your own expectations. And with each exhale, just allow yourself to let go of whatever tensions or stresses you might still be hanging on to. Just release them, fling them away, let them go. We can give this about another 10 seconds or so. Don't worry about the count. I'll let you know when to stop. Long inhale, bringing all that tension in, letting it loose. So wherever you are in the process now all together, last inhale, bring all of it in, bring all of it in, and let it go. Relax the arms, relax the shoulders, normalize your breathing. If you need to roll those shoulders out or flick out the arms or the wrists, you're welcome to do that too. Last little piece of movement that we'll do together. Some of you might be familiar with it, some of you might not. Lion's breath. Here's the setup for those that either might not be familiar with it or may have forgotten. Together, we're going to give ourselves a long inhale through the nose. And then on the exhale, we're going to stick our tongue out as far as we can, like we're trying to, there you, Tracy's got it. She's a pro. Like you're trying to lick the tip of your chin. It looks silly and it feels silly. And that's kind of the point, right? So let's give it about 2 or 3 rounds together. Here we go. So together now, long inhale through the nose. Exhale, lion's breath. Pretty good. Okay, let's do it one more time. Here we go. Long inhale together through the nose. Exhale, lion's breath. All right. Now this time we're just going to really get into it, right? We can be really silly. If you feel like you're safe to do it, you can make some noise. You can use your arms and, you know, whatever you need to do, right? Okay. So here we go. Long inhale through the nose. Get wild, lion's breath. There we go. There we go. You know, when I first started training as a yoga instructor, one of my primary instructors was quick to remind us, and she would remind us very often. I'm grateful for that. You know, a physical practice has everything to do with releasing tension. And I dare say it's really easy for a lot of us to be so reflective and so mindful that we forget to not take ourselves seriously. And we forget that it's okay to laugh, and it's okay to laugh at ourselves. So there you go. All right. So with that, and keeping with that spirit, keeping with that intention, let's just explore a gratitude technique. I'll be doing it with you. You're welcome to have your eyes open. You're welcome to have your eyes closed, just so, you know, nobody thinks I'm doing anything too terribly weird, certainly not trying to program you. Just I'll talk you through the setup here real quick. As the physical body comes into a more relaxed position, I'm just going to invite us to consider or think about or remember one thing for which we're grateful, one thing that elicits a sense of joy, or maybe just one thing that, you know, when we think about it, allows us to smile, right? And because I'm a firm believer that so many of our emotions, thoughts, and memories actually live in our bodies, not just up here somewhere, right? Just allow yourself to notice where that feeling of joy or gratitude, or where that smile, if you will, seems to live in your body. And we're just going to explore that for a few additional moments after that. So wherever you are, if you haven't already gotten into the technique for yourself, I'm just going to invite you to come into a more physically relaxed position. Right now, my feet are flat on the floor. And even though my back is relatively straight, if there's a little bit of bend or a give in there, that's fine. If your eyes want to be closed, if you want to lower your eyelids, you're welcome to do that. If you need to turn your screen off, that's cool. If you need to recline the body or rest the head forward, stacking it perhaps on top of 2 fists, this technique is for you. This technique is for you. And so as we get ourselves in a more relaxed position now, let's just begin together now with a long inhale through the nose. Long exhale now through the mouth. Let's do that together one more time. Long inhale through the nose. Long exhale through the mouth. And just begin to settle into the breathing now. In and out through the nose. Settle into the breathing now. In and out through the nose. And as you allow yourself now to simply settle into your breathing, in and out through the nose, right now you're welcome to simply consider that there's really nowhere else that you need to be other than right here and right now. And so as you allow yourself to simply begin to consider that there's really nowhere else that you need to be other than right here and right now. Right now, you're welcome to simply allow the breath to become just a little bit longer now. And right now, that simply means just a little bit longer on the inhale and just a little bit longer now on the exhale. Right now, there is no forcing of the breath. Right now, there's no holding of the breath. Just allow for a long and smooth breath in and out of the nose right now. So as we allow ourselves to continue into the breath in and out through the nose, the invitation right now is this. Allow yourself now to remember or to picture or to think about just one thing that elicits a sense of joy. Just one thing for which you are grateful. Just one thing that makes you smile. Now, nobody's going to ask you what that one thing is. You don't have to worry about sharing it out, but just allow yourself now to remember or to picture or just observe that one thing that elicits a sense of joy. That one thing that inspires that sense of gratitude. That one thing that seems to make you smile. This is just for you, so whatever that is, notice it now. Now, if your brain is seeming really busy right now or very active, perhaps you're able to remember or notice more than one thing. And that's certainly okay. As best possible, just stay with one thing right now. Stay with one thing right now. Whatever that one thing is that seems to elicit a sense of joy, that inspires gratitude. It seems to bring about that smile. And as you observe and notice that, allow yourself to notice how it feels. Notice that feeling of joy. Notice that feeling of gratitude. Observe how you feel when you give a genuine smile. Now, we all process information just a little bit differently, and that's okay. And so, if we don't seem to quickly or easily identify with the feeling of joy or with the feeling of gratitude or with the feeling that we get just before we give off that smile, that's okay. Right now, in your imagination or in your mind's eye, you're welcome to visualize or imagine that sense of joy as a brilliant white light, that gratitude as a brilliant white light, or that feeling you get just before you let go of that smile as a brilliant white light. And allow yourself to notice where that light seems to shine the brightest within the physical body. Notice where that light seems to shine the brightest within the physical body. Now, we all process information a little bit differently, and that's okay. Some of us are able to get in touch with that feeling of joy. Some of us are able to visualize that sense of joy. Perhaps for some of us, we associate joy and gratitude with a particular word or a sound, and that's okay. If that's the case, allow yourself to observe that word or that phrase or that sound that you typically associate with joy. That sound or that word or that phrase that you associate with gratitude. That word or phrase or sound that you associate with smiling. And just allow yourself to observe where that phrase or that word or that sound seems to resonate the most within the physical body. Now, wherever you are in the process, allow that feeling of joy, that feeling of gratitude, the feeling that you get just before you smile. Allow that feeling now to permeate the entirety of your physical body. Allow that light to begin to shine brightly throughout the entirety of the physical body. Allow that sound now, that phrase, to resonate throughout the entirety of the physical body. Notice how that feels. Observe how that looks. Be aware of how it sounds as it resonates and shines, reverberates throughout the entirety of the physical body. If you'd like, you're even welcome in your mind's eye to allow that feeling of joy and gratitude to move beyond the physical body now. Allow that light to shine beyond the physical body now. Allow that sound, that word, that phrase to reverberate beyond the physical body now. Right now, you're welcome to share that feeling of joy or gratitude with a friend or a loved one. Share that light with a colleague or a peer, even a student. You're even welcome to share that phrase or that sound with a person who perhaps you believe has strong feelings against you, or a person for whom you might have strong feelings against. Everybody needs gratitude, and everybody could use joy. And just observe that process now. Sharing joy, sharing gratitude. Notice how that feels now. Wherever you are in the process, right now, you're welcome to invite that feeling back into present time with you. And that might even be as simple as silently saying within yourself, I now invite more joy and more gratitude to come back with me into present time, here and now. I now invite more joy and more gratitude to come back with me into present time, here and now. And so wherever you are in the process, let's all begin to come back into present time now together with a long inhale through the nose. Long exhale through the mouth. One more time now. Long inhale through the nose. Long exhale through the mouth. Blink, stretch, look around, fully alert, fully refreshed, fully present, here and now. Here and now. You're welcome to roll out the wrists, rotate the shoulders as well as you continue to settle in. Thank you for letting me share those.
Thank you, Drew. Oh, I'd love, and I'll splice out this part of our recording, but it's always nice if anybody kind of helps with the processing it sometimes if you share after you do something. So I'll start, it was hard for me at first to just focus on that one thing to be grateful for. I was like, how long are we going to have to keep focused? So when you invited us to think of a few other things, my mind was like, thank you. But it was good though, because I feel like it was a focusing exercise, because really the feeling grew and got more vivid as I stayed on it. And then the other thing I appreciated I'd never done before is that, like that feeling right before you smile. When you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I've never really, and I kept smiling and just to try to feel that feeling. And yeah, that's to kind of pinpoint that what's happening in your body when that happens. It felt really good. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Did anybody else have experiencing anything that you want to share?
With gratitude and joy. I appreciate that.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Is it okay if I ask a question or two?
Sure.
Oh, cool. Thanks. Okay. No judgment, no expectation. I typically, whenever I'm facilitating or teaching a technique, I'll usually on the tail end just ask how difficult or how easy it was to come back from any seeming distraction. It sounds like you're already giving some feedback on that. So thank you. That always helps me in the role of a mindfulness instructor or a meditation coach and instructor. I'm really curious, what does our reflective practice normally look like, sound like, feel like? And if I had to rephrase that question, I'd probably rephrase it to sound a little bit closer to this. How consistent or inconsistent do we feel like we are? Notice my word choice. How consistent or inconsistent do we feel like we are with our reflective practice these days? Now, if I'm really going to sit in my role as a meditation instructor, I'm going to further qualify my question, right? There's no moral judgment baked into the question, right? We're not trying to say, oh gosh, it's a really great reflective practice, or oh my goodness, it's so bad. No, with my word choice, I'm granting and I'm agreeing that no matter how disciplined we think we are, there's always going to be that season, that day, that week where, whew, do you know how many meetings I have? Do you know how many phone calls I have to respond to? Do you understand my email list? Dude, the number of people that I talk to, I wish I could get a reflective practice. I get that, because that happens to me sometimes, right? But how are we feeling about our reflective practice these days? To share just a thought, just based off of some of the feedback I'm getting right now about the quality or the state, people's belief state of their reflective practice. I'm a person that believes that everybody is their own most valuable player, right? You are your own MVP. And as such, it is incumbent upon you. It is your responsibility. It is your duty to form your own all-star team. And the first rung of your all-star team needs to always be having a mentor, a coach, and a corner person, right? And for goodness sake, don't ever presume that any one person can be all three at the same time, because nobody is supposed to be source for anybody. But and with that, when I first started off as a yoga teacher and as a yoga studio owner, I was very fortunate, very blessed, I think, to have both a yoga mentor and a business coach. I had several business coaches. But my yoga mentor was so loving that she closed down her studio once a week and pointed all of her students to come to my studio, and she would sit in as a student. That was huge. And so my way of giving back to her, as little as it was having tea on Sundays. I would treat her to tea and we'd chat. And one day I asked her, I said, okay, listen, you've been doing this for 20 years. I'm just getting started. What's the secret? How do I need to be conducting myself in my personal practice? Because it's one thing for me to teach, but I can't teach somebody where I am in my practice. I get that even 2 years in. I get that, right? That's when this is 10 years ago when I first started the business. She said, listen, here's the deal. You have permission to not be hard on yourself when you don't think you are keeping up with your practice, because she said, when you don't think you're working your practice is working you. And so when I teach and when I coach and when I consult with people, I try to spin that just a little bit and say, integration is always happening, whether you want it to or not. The integration is always happening. Now, we can be knuckleheads and slow it down at times through resistance, but the integration is still happening. We frustrate ourselves when we try to force it or speed it up, and the integration is still happening, right? So, when I hear, Christy talk about kind of coming back to the discipline or coming back to the practice, that's real. We have permission to be gentle with ourselves and know the practice didn't go anywhere, right? And so with these last 2 years, 3 years, I'll say this and I'll be quiet. My most recent business coach, we had a conversation last week. I don't know if he thought he was cracking a joke or not, but I still appreciated it. He said, what do entrepreneurs, parents, and teachers all have in common? I don't know. He said, we fail a lot every day. We fail a lot, right? Now, coming from a mindfulness perspective, we become better when we choose to recognize and accept that as a fact. We become great when we decide to take action on that knowledge and allow ourselves grace and discipline. That's it.
This coaching session made possible by that was great. That was what I needed. That grace and discipline. Yeah. Anyone have anything after hearing that from Drew that rang true for you? But we do have a few minutes left, and I thank everybody for, I hear, yes, thank you. I'm all 3 of those things. So oh yeah, parent, entrepreneur, teacher, failing 3 times as hard. Yay!
Congratulations.
Same. Yeah. And I do always think like what magic could happen when we embrace that part and just let it be even more a part of schools and educators and everything that we learn by failing, by making mistakes, and like, bringing the whole science of like, okay, that didn't work. What's next? And letting it be okay, like how magical that could be.
Yes, thank you. Any other words of wisdom here for us, Drew? I'm gonna, we do want to hear in our last minutes, because I know things have been brewing over at your organization with, I know last year at this time, there was an April conference. So I know you do your annual kids yoga conference at different times of the year. I know COVID it's shifting things with that. So you told me that you're going to do November 5th and 6th. Is that correct?
Yep, Tracy, that's right. The 5th and 6th of November, which is a Saturday and a Sunday. That's going to be the 2022 International Kids Yoga Conference. The theme this year is thriving in community. And, by tradition, we always have 3 primary tracks, business, research, and education. And so we just recently started accepting proposals for people who may want to present in either of those tracks. People are welcome to throw in as many proposals as you feel like you can handle. Um, Likewise for, the entrepreneurs or the folks that are keen to want to be a vendor, or even larger organizations that might want to be sponsors. Last week, we started opening up submissions to receive requests for vendors and sponsors, as well as those that might want to host a community practice, some kind of reflective practice, physical practice, a little bit more of that more subtle internal reflective practice as well. It is going to be all online this year. And we want to see, if everything is sitting right going into 2023, if we can at least do hybrid, if not fully in person. When Michelle Mitchell started the National Kids Yoga Conference in 2014, because YoKid, its parent organization, was based out of Virginia, so many of those conferences were always either in Virginia or in DC proper. And because of so much of the work that she had done over the years, membership literally is spread around the world now. We recently had a vendor info session, and people showed up from South Africa. The last year's conference, folks were showing up from the UK and from Egypt. So we're really looking forward to a really great conference this year. We want to continue to support those that teach kids yoga and mindfulness in different environments, especially in education-based environments. So nights like tonight, Tracy, being with the coalition of schools educating mindfully, that to me is just a win for everybody. I'd love to be able to see what we can do to continue to work and support each other together going forward. So I just can't tell you how grateful I am for tonight.
Oh, you're welcome. And I thank you for being here. And does anybody have any questions about the Kids Yoga Conference? Has anybody ever been to it before? I just think it'd be a great opportunity, with immediate takeaways for what you could bring into your classroom. I started as a yoga instructor and then started bringing it into classroom as my kids grew up. And I've heard from other people that there's just so many different presenters that there's going to be something for everybody. And
so it is for all age ranges? Is there a primary focus on a certain age range, or?
It is, Michelle. Thank you for that question. In years past, there seemed to have been a weighting on K through 5. And as the years went on, it seemed to expand a little bit more to include 6 through 8. I'm really encouraging our board to help our larger community and the folks that we begin to come into community with or come back into community with to really expand what we understand to be kids and youth.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, what I'm aiming for us to really lock into over the next 4 years and beyond is the idea of prenatal to 25. Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure that we're really clear that equity is equity. And when we look at what's the quality of the environment for kids coming into this world, we have to look at what's going on there. And if we're talking about the effects of what they're learning 6 through 8, we know that doesn't start showing up usually till about grade 11. Well, doggone it. Doesn't it make sense that we start following that trajectory into the early 20s? I think so, especially what we know about ages and stages and brain development and the frontal lobe. That makes sense to me. So, yeah, I'm really looking to see more and more over the years to come, Michelle, us expanding and then acting upon what that means. And so then to Tracy's point, as far as, the quality of speakers, some folks are probably familiar with, Christopher Willard has been at our conferences twice already. I did an interview with him recently. If you want to go to our YouTube channel, National Kids Yoga Conference. We have an interview up with Chris Willard that we did earlier this year. Susan Verde, also New York Times bestselling children's author. She authored a whole series of books. I Am Courage was one. Got an interview of her up on the same YouTube channel. You're welcome to check it out for yourself and share. But again, with interactions like the one we're having now, I really am looking forward to even going deeper into what we can do to support educators that are in class, those that are educating in other parts of the community. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah. I'm a 6th through 8th, so.
Yep.
And I'm a school counselor, so I know we have a lot of teachers that are coming to us trying to find little things to either start a class with, end a class with, that are effective and helpful for them.
Yeah, I would absolutely encourage them, and congratulations, Sarah. I see you're getting your certificate there. Michelle, I'd absolutely encourage them to
Yeah, I'll take that.
really consider showing up at the conference, not just them, but mental health professionals, social workers, folks that might be paras, within classroom settings. Everybody's invited.
Right.
Everybody's invited.
And you can subscribe at kidsyogaconference.org.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been getting little snippets from the conference here this spring. So I'll share on our members site, just because I'm sure there are members who are definitely experienced enough to do proposal or present. So that would be great to see some of our members there, and we hope lots of people will join. We'll keep spreading the word for you.